Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another solved case. So today we're going to be talking about the case of Allison Baden Clay. This is an Australian case, and in my video I'm going to be laying out the bare facts to you basically, because if I told you every single fact in this case, we would be here all day. It's a huge case. And I'm going to make this a two-part series. So part one will be, of course, today, and part two will be uploaded tomorrow. And I do encourage you to look more into this case if you are interested, because there is a lot more out there, including a book. So let's get into the case. So in 2012, Allison June Baden Clay, maiden name Dickie, was a 43-year-old Australian woman and a mother of three young daughters, Hannah 10, Sarah 8, and Ella 5. And she was also the wife of Gerard Baden Clay. The couple and their three daughters lived in their rented home in Brookfield. Brookfield was a tight-knit town not far outside of the Brisbane CBD. And the Baden Clays were a relatively well-known family in the area, and Brookfield was also considered quite a well-off suburb, just for reference. So Allison and Gerard were married on the 23rd of August 1997, meaning it would have been their 15-year anniversary in 2012. So Gerard Baden Clay was a very confident man and a prominent real estate agent in the area, and formerly the president of his local Chamber of Commerce. He was considered quite the man about town in Brookfield. And Allison Baden Clay, a former beauty queen, was an accomplished ballerina and career woman. She was smart and a well-educated woman, even fluent in several languages. She had an arts degree and had spent time teaching English in Japan in her early 20s. She had been working part-time at her husband's real estate office at the time of her disappearance. So now we're fast-forwarding to Friday, April the 20th, 2012, where Gerard Baden Clay reports his wife Allison as missing. Gerard awoke that morning at 6 a.m. to find his wife Allison not anywhere in the family home, and he had not seen her since 10 p.m. the previous night. At 6:20 a.m., Gerard sends his wife a text that goes as follows: "Good morning, hope you slept well, where are you? None of the girls are up yet, love G." He got no response. At this time, their three daughters were also beginning to wake up for school and began to question where their mother was. Gerard assured the girls that their mother had just gone for one of her usual morning walks. In the meantime, Gerard got ready for work. He showered, shaved, and put on his work attire. 20 minutes after Gerard sent his first text message, he tried the Find My Friends app, which is an app basically that locates your friends via GPS on their mobile phone. However, he had no success in finding Allison with this app. He texted Allison again at 6:41 a.m. saying, "Al, getting concerned. Where are you? The app doesn't say either. Two of the girls are up now. I'm dressed and about to make lunches. Please just text me back or call. Love, G." Gerard once again received no response from Allison, and at this point he phoned his parents who lived nearby. Within minutes, his father, Nigel, and sister, Olivia, were on their way to Gerard and Allison's home to help locate Allison. Olivia began to search their neighbourhood for Allison. She spoke to mums at the girls' school. She spoke to a council worker and a groundsman, but none of them had seen Allison. Gerard then took Allison's car and drove her usual walking routes to see if he could locate Allison, and he also drove around Brookfield for a bit attempting to locate her before returning home. And during this time his father was at home getting the three girls ready for school. About an hour after Gerard Baden Clay had woken up to find his wife missing, he decided to hit the panic button and phone police. He phoned them at 7:15 a.m. He told police he had not seen Allison since 10 p.m. the previous night when he had gone to bed. She was last seen sitting on their couch in the living room watching the footy show.
Thank you. Police emergency. What's your location?
Good morning, Brookfield.
Whereabouts in Brookfield, sir?
593 Brookfield Road, Brookfield.
And what's happening there?
I don't want to be alarmist. I tried the 131 number, but just went on forever.
Yep.
My wife isn't home. And I don't know where she is.
Okay. When did you last see her, sir?
Last night when we went to bed, when I went to bed, and I got up this morning and she wasn't there, and that's not unusual. She often goes for a walk in the morning.
Yep.
Gerard was also unsure if Allison had even come to bed that night, telling police he was a really heavy sleeper and sometimes Allison would fall asleep on the couch. He also stated to police that Allison did occasionally go for walks in the morning before work, but on this particular morning he couldn't get in contact with her and she was meant to be back by this point. Gerard explained to them that Allison was on her way to a real estate conference that day and said she'd be leaving by 7 a.m. that morning, and at this time it was past 7 a.m. The operator asked Gerard a few more details about the past 24 hours and details about his wife, including her height, hair colour, age, general appearance, etc. before telling Gerard he would send 2 police officers to their family home shortly and also send out a notice for police in the area to be keeping a lookout for Allison. By 8 a.m. that morning, 2 police officers had arrived at the Baden Clay home, Kieran Ash and Leah Hammond. Gerard Baden Clay was dressed and ready for work when he emerged from the family home to greet police officers. And the officers also met his sister Olivia, and Olivia was just on her way to take the 3 daughters to school. Gerard's father Nigel was also there to greet the police officers. Constable Ash immediately noticed some scratches down the right side of Gerard's face and asked to speak to him in private. In his conversation to police, Gerard expanded on the information he had told police officers that morning on the phone. When police asked him about his facial injuries, he claimed that it was a shaving accident. He had been stressed that morning over Allison's disappearance and been in a rush to get the girls to school. Regardless, police photographed and documented the scratches. Officers also asked Gerard about his relationship with his wife Allison, and Gerard is quite open and honest on the topic, admitting to the officers that he had actually had an affair that Allison had found out about. He told them things had been a little bit rocky, but they had been seeing a marriage counsellor. He also asked police to keep this piece of information strictly confidential, as he didn't want his father and sister finding out. Constable Ash also noticed Gerard's speech and mannerisms this day, noting that when Gerard was speaking about himself, he would look the officer straight in the eye, but when he was talking about Allison, he would fidget and look down. Constable Ash asked Gerard if he could look around the family home, and Gerard was happy for him to do this. In the meantime, Constable Hammond questioned Gerard further about his wife. Constable Ash had a look around the family home, particularly looking in bathrooms for any evidence of shaving cuts, such as bloodied tissues, but he found no evidence of this. He also noticed a baby monitor sitting on the bedside table in the master bedroom, which seemed quite odd considering their youngest daughter was 5 years old. Constable Ash, dissatisfied with Gerard Baden Clay's story, phoned his supervisor, Narelle Curtis. Senior Sergeant Narelle Curtis, along with Sergeant Jackson, arrived at the Baden Clay home soon after this call was made to assess the situation for themselves. So Gerard continues to openly and willingly answer police questions, even opening up about his financial problems and his marriage problems. However, he was becoming increasingly frustrated with answering the same questions repeatedly, stating he was happy to answer as many questions as they had, but he just wanted to go out and look for his wife Allison. That same day, Gerard phoned a woman named Toni McHugh. Toni McHugh had worked with Gerard at his real estate business. She was also the woman that Gerard had been having an affair with. Gerard and Toni started their affair in August of 2008. In September of 2011, Allison found out about the affair, and that's where it ended until 3 months later they rekindled their secret romance. So Toni McHugh was at a real estate conference that day, and she also happened to be at the exact same conference that Allison was due to be at. Toni had only found out the night before from Gerard that Allison would be attending the same conference as she would be, and of course she did not think it was a good idea for the mistress and the wife to be attending the same conference together. She was not happy with this at all. She'd actually expected a confrontation from Allison that day. She demanded that Gerard tell Allison about their continued affair and end their marriage for good. However, Toni had not seen Allison at the conference at all that day. During their phone call, Gerard mentioned to Toni that Allison was missing, and Toni was shocked. She asked if they had gotten into a fight, presumably about their affair. However, Gerard said they had not. Toni stated to Gerard she would not be made to feel guilty about Allison disappearing, and in response, Gerard told Toni that they should lay low in their relationship for a while. Toni told Gerard she loved him before hanging up the phone. So the Allison Baden Clay case was the biggest missing persons investigation since Daniel Morecambe, a 13-year-old schoolboy, was abducted in 2003. Police, firefighters, SES, friends, family and local residents were all out in Brookfield searching for Allison. A command post was also set up at the Brookfield showgrounds, and Priscilla and Jeff Dickey, which were Allison's parents, were at this command post day in and day out, just waiting and hoping for someone to come forward with information on their missing daughter. It was also noted by the media that Gerard was not present during any of these searches or present at the command post. Conflicting reports say he was told not to partake, others say he made the decision not to partake. However, it was noted that Gerard kept an extremely low profile during this time regardless. In fact, Gerard Baden Clay made a pretty concerted effort to avoid all media in the days following Allison's disappearance, even running from reporters numerous times. So the search parties involved walked streets, knocked on doors, and walked paths that Allison would walk on her regular walks in an effort to find any trace of Allison. The Allison Baden Clay case was being treated as a missing persons case and not as a criminal investigation. At least that is what the media reported. Police Superintendent Mark Ainsworth publicly stated that Gerard Baden Clay was not a person of interest in Allison's case. Days passed and there was still no sign of Allison, so police set up a major incident room at the Indooroopilly, probably pronouncing that incorrectly, police station to further investigate Allison's disappearance. So 2 days after Allison went missing on Sunday, April 2nd, at 3 p.m, a rather strange incident occurred involving Gerard Baden Clay. Gerard was involved in a car accident. So he crashed a borrowed car into a bus terminal, and he'd been travelling at 50 kilometers an hour and had not attempted to brake. Gerard was seen crawling from the wreckage, using his arms to drag the rest of his body along as if he had been paralysed. A 17-year-old boy spotted the accident and ran to help Gerard. However, the 17-year-old stated that Gerard Baden Clay was just asking for his lawyer. He was repeatedly just saying sorry and repeatedly asking for his lawyer, according to witnesses. When a paramedic finally arrived at the scene and asked Gerard if he had any pain anywhere, he replied, "All over my body." So it was revealed that Gerard had undergone medical tests for physical injuries on the day that Allison went missing, and he was being called back for further examination on these injuries. He had red and irritated red scratch type markings on his chest, which Gerard claimed was an allergic reaction to a caterpillar bite. However, it was confirmed that in that area, no such caterpillar would cause such a reaction or bite. He also had an injury on his right hand, and he'd been on the way to further examinations when he got into this car crash. It was speculated that this crash was an effort by Gerard Baden Clay to cover up the previous injuries, making it almost impossible for medical examiners to know what were the old injuries and what were the new ones from the car crash. This would also explain him dragging himself along the ground despite not being injured, let alone paralysed. On April 23rd, Allison's parents, Jeff and Priscilla Dickey, made an emotional public plea pleading for information on their missing daughter. Priscilla stated, "Please, please, help us find our dear Allison.
As a mother, please, please help us to find our dear Allison. Our lives will never be the same. We must find her."
By this point, it had become a nationwide story. It wasn't just the local community wanting to know what happened to Allison, and any newspapers with Allison's face on them would just sell out. The whole of Australia wanted answers. On April the 24th, Gerard Baden Clay spoke with the media briefly, and this was the first time he was speaking with them since Allison's disappearance. He spoke with them outside of his parents' home, where he was staying at the time with his 3 daughters, while investigators searched his family home. With his sister by his side, Gerard stated,
"I'm trying to look after my children at the moment. They've got 3 young girls, and we really trust that the police are doing everything they can to find my wife, and we just hope that she'll come home soon."
Were you injured in a car crash a couple of days ago?
I was hurt a little bit, but I'm okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your concern.
And Gerard's family continued to stick by him and support him during this whole ordeal. On April 26th, police seized bags from the Baden Clay family home and Gerard Baden Clay's work office. A prayer vigil is also held for Allison. On April 27, police step up their search efforts by placing a mannequin on the road dressed as Allison was on the day she went missing in an effort to jog the community's memory for those that may have seen her out that morning that she went missing. And this is quite a common technique used by police in an effort to jog the memory of the community or witnesses that may not have realised they saw the person that has gone missing. The same method was used in the Daniel Morecambe case, and that was really helpful with that case. The mannequin was placed outside of her home, and the clothing was in accordance to what Gerard had said she was wearing the morning she went missing. Emergency crews also widened their searches on this day. Gerard Baden Clay also released a brief public statement during this time, thanking the media and public for their support, stating that his priority was the welfare of his missing wife and 3 daughters. On April 28th, police admit that they have few leads despite the massive investigation. So on April the 30th, a body is found by a canoeist at the Colo Creek Bridge at the creek's bank, which is about 13 kilometres from the Baden Clay home. It is speculated that it may be Allison's body, but it is unknown due to the decomposition of the body. The next day, on May the 1st, it is confirmed to be the body of Allison Baden Clay. It has been 11 days since her disappearance.